Hello and welcome to The World Today. I'm Victoria Idu. Brazil has re-elected Dilma Rouseff as the president of the country. She secured 51% vote while her rival secured a 48% of the vote. In her victory speech, the new president said she would want to be a much better president. Last year, our administration had been criticized for corruption, record spending on the Football World Cup and poor services.
Incumbent Brazilian President Dilma Rouseff was voted back into office for a second term. The Brazil Supreme Electoral Court announced that the Workers' Party candidate Rouseff garnered 51.62% of the votes, while conservative opposition candidate of the Social Democratic Party PSDB obtained 48.38%, with a total of 99.77% of votes being counted. Rouseff, who is aged 66, says her first priority will be political reform, promising to work with Congress on changes that the country demands.
Estou muito mais forte.
Today, I am a lot stronger, more serene and more mature for the work that you have delegated to me. Brazil, once again, this daughter of yours won't walk away from the fight.
She had called for a popular referendum on political reform after widespread protests in June 2013, but she dropped the issue in the face of stiff resistance from lawmakers. She also said her re-election represented the country's hope and recognized the country's desire that she work harder to be a better president. In her victory speech, she also reiterated her commitments to fiscal discipline and controlling inflation. Meanwhile, her opponent, Brazilian centrist senator and former governor, has conceded to Dilma Rouseff.
I spoke to the re-elected president not long ago by telephone and wished her success in the administration of our next government. And I reaffirmed what I feel should be our greatest priority: to unite Brazil on the basis of an honorable project which dignifies all Brazilians.
The scene at the Brasilia Hotel was exuberant as supporters chanted her name, sang campaign songs, and waved her party's red and black flags.
A Dilma me representa, voto na Dilma, voto pro povo, voto contra o machismo, contra a homofobia, contra o racismo.
After what appears to be a victory for pro-Western parties, Ukraine's president plans to begin coalition talks. Petro Poroshenko, who secured a 22% of the vote, thanked voters for backing a democratic, reformist, pro-Ukrainian and a pro-European majority. There was no voting in eastern areas that remain under the control of pro-Russian separatist rebels. The rebels plan to hold their elections next Sunday. I'm now being joined by the VOA reporter presenter from Washington, Mariuslava Godazi. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, we know the election is crucial for Ukraine, but how significant is this for the region?
This election, we know that this election happened after the big movement in Ukraine, European movement against the corrupt government of Mr. Yanukovych. So this election is crucial for to establish Ukraine as a European country. And today, Ukraine is moving forward and moving toward reforms. So a stable and strong Ukraine would be a crucial country to stabilize the region. specifically in this particular time with Russian aggression that we have on the east. So this election is crucial, significant, and for establishing European values in that region.
Now, though all the votes have been counted, does it matter who is able to form a coalition government first?
Basically, today I just came from Ukraine yesterday, and I was anchoring a political debate, election debate, and I can tell you that it doesn't really matter who would be forming coalition. Today, Ukraine needs a constitutional majority to make the changes that people want. People want decentralization of the government. People want a real significant fight against corruption, and all this and constitutional changes. So all these changes would need a constitutional majority. It looks like the pro-democratic, pro-Western parties would be able to form a coalition. A president and prime minister basically got equal amount of support from the population, and a couple of other significant pro-European parties got into the parliament. So there is hope that that coalition would be formed fairly soon, and they would start a real reform in the country.
But how is Eastern Ukraine expected to be governed, especially as they did not participate in Sunday's polls?
It's actually not exactly right, because majority of the West did vote. Only, you know, that we have a conflict only right near the Russian border. So it's not the significant area of the country. The one area that didn't really vote, that was Crimea, but a lot of Crimean Tatars and Crimean who left Crimea were able to vote in the other areas. So international observers actually declared this election as real and democratic, and even Russia today announced that they would accept the election, this election in Ukraine. So basically, elections were overwhelmingly positive news, I would say, for Ukraine and for the region.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, the elections in Tunisia on Sunday marked a big step towards democracy. That's according to the European Council on Foreign Relations. Now, they say that the Tunisian election is only one of the elections that will bring the country to the limelight, where the aspirations of the Arab offspring may yet be fulfilled in the near future. Tunisians headed to the polls to vote for their first post-revolution parliament, marking the end of 3 years of transitional governance that has been marred by rising extremist and economic failure. The atmosphere was tense in the country labeled the cradle of 2011 Arab Spring.
Almost 4 years after an uprising that ousted autocrat Zine Al Abidine Ben Ali, Tunisia parliamentary elections have taken place. The polls, which bring the country to full democracy, closed on Sunday. The moderate Islamist party, Ennahda, and rival secular alliance, Nida Tunis, are favored to win most seats in the vote, only the second free election in Tunisia since Ben Ali fled into exile in Saudi Arabia. The large number of parties in Sunday's election, from conservative Islamist Salafist movements to socialists, means a coalition government is the probable outcome. The 217-member assembly will choose a new prime minister.
The importance of voting today is saving Tunisia and leading it on the right road. The right road today means the election day for Tunisians, said Ibrahim, a voter from capital Tunis.
Vote turnout 2 hours before polls closed was 50.8%, and around Tunis, voting had looked constant and orderly, although with a few complaints from voters who had registered but found their names were not listed.
Numbers of voters were higher in the morning. 2 hours ago, the voters were around 60%. Now, in the evening, it went down.
Out of more than 12,000 voting centers nationwide, only 5 remained closed on Sunday for security reasons in Kasserine, where the armed forces are cracking down on Islamist militants near the frontier. Tunisia has fared better than its neighbors, which also ousted long-ruling leaders during the 2011 revolutions, avoiding the large-scale violent turmoil suffered by Egypt and the outright civil war of Libya and Syria.